This video is sponsored by Huel. Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 219. Models Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where I talk about my painting, modeling, and wargaming experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 videos a week. Ow. Could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week, Games Workshop officially revealed the Saturn box for Horus Heresy, which comes with all sorts of new Space Marine goodness, and I got some good work done on another little miniature war game. But first, today's sponsor Huel is a vegan company that produces nutritionally complete, convenient, and affordable food that has minimal impact on animals and the environment. And they're giving our viewers 15% off with the code EONS15. I'm getting a little peckish, but I want to keep working. I could pause and prepare an entire meal, or I could drink one of these bad boys. Huel Black Edition is a high-protein, complete meal ready to drink. Each shake delivers a balanced blend of carbs, fats, and 40 grams of plant-based protein, plus 6 grams of fiber and 27 essential vitamins and minerals, all for just 400 calories. This is Huel Black Edition. Huel stands for Human Plus Fuel, which is good because I'm ready for some fuel. The ultimate on-the-go meal, which is good. I'm not going anywhere, but I'm ready to eat. This one's chocolate. Huel Black Edition is a nutritionally complete food. This means every Huel meal contains a balance of all 27 essential vitamins and minerals, proteins, essential fats, carbs, fibers, and phytonutrients in a single product. In addition to ready-to-drink meals, Huel is available as a powder starting at $2.65 a meal and is ready to drink in 1 minute. Huel makes affordable food that prioritizes nutrition, does not generate a lot of waste, and is very convenient. If you're interested in giving Huel a try, you can shop with the code EONS15 or follow the link in the description to get 15% off. New Horus Heresy Age of Darkness Saturn 9 is the new box for, I guess, the third edition of Warhammer The Horus Heresy. The Horus Heresy. It looks pretty interesting. It has a new plastic version of the Mark II armor. I have a copy of the older Mark II armor that was in plastic that came out in like 2016 or 17. And I really, really like that box. The new ones are a little bit taller and they're actually like proportioned appropriately for all of the newer kits they've been coming out with for Horus Heresy. And the new armor, the new Mark II armor, is actually kinda new. They changed some stuff, and they might seem like subtle changes, but they're not that subtle. In the world of 40k, there's been 9 marks of Space Marine power armor, although technically the current mark of power armor is Mark 10 because they skipped Mark 9, so you're not allowed to ask what happened to Mark 9. And then there was Mark 8 errant armor, which was pretty much Mark 7. Mark 7 armor is the one that we kind of all know. It's basically what like Tactical Marines had. Tactical Marines had a hodgepodge of all the different armor marks in theory, but really they were all wearing Mark 7. These guys are Mark II right after the Thunder Warrior armor, and I feel like their armor was kind of meant to depict a little bit more of the roots as the Thunder Warriors. And the new armor, it's pretty close. It's pretty subtle the differences. The big difference is the legs. I feel like the classic Mark II, and really Mark III as well, they had this really interesting kind of segmented armor or overlapping armor. And the overlapping armor was a really interesting look. It was kind of samurai inspired. It was very, very interesting. And the new armor kind of does away with that. In a way it doesn't. The new armor is segmented instead of overlapping. But segmented is not the same thing as overlapping. Like, it's just a little bit different, and they really, really bulked up the little like zippers. On the old armor, there was 3 zippers. There was like a tummy zipper and then a little zipper going down the front of each leg. And now it like dominates the leg. They have this weird ribbing on their legs, and it looks good. It's still pretty close to the illustrations and the artwork of Horus Heresy, but it is a little different. I wonder why it's a little different. The backpacks are really cool. I like that the backpacks do look like the old Thunder Warrior backpacks, and I do like that it's very different than some of the other armor marks, because it should be. This is like the first official Space Marine armor that actually has powered legs, because the Thunder Warriors, they had powered arms, but they didn't have powered legs, so the Thunder Warriors did not skip leg day. Another really cool thing about these Mark II Marines is that they're carrying disintegrator rifles. Disintegrators are a really kind of obscure piece of Warhammer lore. I think you might be able to take them in Necromunda, but they're not in 40k. You were able to buy one for 40k. I think also in like 2015 or 16, there was a single model called the Imperial Space Marine, which was like a kind of exclusive miniature. It was one little beaky Marine that was meant to represent like the originally sculpted metal Space Marine, like the first one ever made. And it had this really weird, funky gun that was called a disintegrator rifle. And so these are kind of meant to be that. And I mean, I feel like if you can have disintegrator rifles, you take disintegrator rifles because it disintegrates. Like, I guess a bolter explodes, which is also pretty effective. But if you can literally disintegrate, and in the new animated trailer for the new Horus Heresy, you get to see these things in action. And it's kind of like the tripods from the War of the Worlds movie with not Brad Pitt, who's the little guy who runs? Tom Cruise! The Tom Cruise War of the Worlds, like those alien tripods had disintegrator cannons, and like people would just poof into clothes. Which I don't get how a person poofs, but the clothes don't, but it made for a really cool, like, fight sequence. The disintegrator rifles are really cool. In the article, it shows off these guys painted up in salamanders and in Iron Warriors. I feel like the Iron Warriors really look good in the Mark II armor. The salamanders, they look fine. Like, the green, I don't know if it really shows off super, super well, the armor. It makes sense that the salamanders would be in some of the older marks of armor, especially because of the new lore, I guess the new and existing lore for the Saturnine Terminator armor, but the new Mark II armor is okay. I prefer the old plastic because I like those legs, but the new ones are fine. But speaking of fine, we now have glorious, high quality pictures of the new Saturnine Terminator armor. And I do believe that Games Workshop has continued the lore of what the Saturnines are, because previously it was just Terminator armor. And I think there was a little blurb that like the Saturnine picture is just a picture of a specific suit of Saturnine armor that was like made that way for no particular reason. It does make some sense that things would look a little different. Things are manufactured on different planets. I mean, most of this stuff is made on Mars. And so it would make sense for the same thing to have a little bit of a different look here and there. But I think these suits are now officially a custom suit of armor. It's like an older pattern of Terminator armor that was upgraded by Vulcan, the Primarch. And so, I don't know, it's a little bit of nonsense, but it does make for some really, really cool miniatures. These guys are big and chunky, and I don't know how to make them work in 40k. The obvious answer is that these guys are Centurions. That's kind of a problem for me because I love Centurions. And so like I have 6 and I wouldn't mind getting some more, but like these guys would work well as Centurions because they stand on 50mm bases. They fill up those 50mm bases. Like that would be a pretty good proxy, but I don't know. I like regular Centurions. So I don't know if I would want to swap them in for that. They're way too big to just be Terminator proxies. It's really hard. Like, there's not a great Space Marine proxy for Saturnines. Maybe they're too small for this, but like an Invader ATV or the Scout Dreadnot suit of armor for Space Marines, they're too small, but they would kind of fit that role a little bit. I don't know. It's hard to say like how these could be used in 40k, but I like them. I don't want to start Horus Heresy. If I started Horus Heresy, I would probably do Word Bearers, and I feel like Word Bearers wouldn't have the Saturnine Terminator armors. I feel like they would have regular Terminator armor, or mostly just guys. And then I would get like the Gal Vorback and like the different demon-y things, because that's kind of the only thing that's like tugging on me much for Horus Heresy. Basically, I have no excuse to get some Saturnine Terminators. And like, I don't just want to get them. I don't like models that are like just for display. I want toys. I want pieces for the game. And these are pieces for a game, but it's for a game I don't play. They're really cool though. I like their little dumb fists. I like all of the different weapons. I like that their plasma guns look like the Titan plasma guns with like the ribbing that goes all the way around the weapon itself. These guys are really, really cool. I also would love to just get my hands on them and see, like, I'm sure there's not a ton of posability, but they're robots, so you can get posability out of these things. With enough cutting, anything is posable. And those shoulder pads with like the little shield generators built into them, and their little button heads sticking out of their torsos. I'm not a huge fan of the helmets. I think I would try to come up with my own helmet design that's a little bit more of the Mark 7 Screamer helmet. I think that would just look a little bit more interesting than the kind of Mark 4 helmets that are in these. I guess it's sorta, there's one head on one of these Iron Warriors that is kind of like a Mark 7 Screamer helmet with little studs in its forehead, and that looks really good. All of these armors look really, really good in Iron Warriors. I think Iron Warriors is just a color scheme that shows off, I mean, it's metallic, so it's just a color that really, really shows off robotness. Then there's Praetor in Saturnine Terminator armor. He looks glorious with the plasma gun on the arm and then the gigantic thunder hammer that he's holding in a power fist. So he's got the power of a thunder hammer holding on, or being held by a power fist. He's double fisting with 2 power fists and the hammer. Like, you can't even stack more on this guy. His humongous Iron Cross, or Iron Halo, that I guess isn't an Iron Halo because this is 30K and not 40K yet. It's just such a glorious little model. And then his little dick tabard, just so noble, just dangling right there. It's the entire bathroom towel is just right there on this guy. I really, really like these figures. The Saturnine Dreadnot is pretty darn cool. I feel like it's not that different from the Leviathan Dreadnot, and I've had my eye on a Leviathan Dreadnot because they're pretty much the same size as the Redemptor Dreadnoughts for 40K, and I kind of want a Brutalis Dreadnought. And I like the Brutalis Dreadnought that's available now, but it's kind of just a Redemptor with 2 hands instead of 1 hand. And so I was thinking about getting a Leviathan and then using that as a proxy for not a Furioso, that's Blood Angels, for a Brutalis Dreadnought. But I really want the Dark Angels one because it's got like some gothic flair to it, but it's been out of stock forever. Like everything for Horus Heresy is out of stock. I don't really get, maybe when this is available for pre-order, that's when they're gonna like unleash the stock and actually have things available to purchase for once. But I don't get Horus. I don't get how Games Workshop is so out of stock with everything. Like, it makes logical sense because they have way too many SKUs, but that's their business. Their business is to have a dumb amount of individual products, and so I don't know. They need to come up with something so that I'm just not waiting forever to be allowed to buy the thing I want. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the new Horus Heresy box. I feel like Mark II is great. Like, I think that's just a really, really nice thing to have for pretty much any Legion in 40K. The new Saturnine is a little bit more specific, and I could see some people not wanting it in their army because I feel like Horus Heresy is it's a historical war game, so people want their armies to be just so. And does Saturnine armor fit into every different Legion? Kind of feel like they don't. I mean, maybe with enough kit bashing you could get there, but I feel like it's kind of Salamanders specific. I'm not getting into Horus Heresy, but a game that I am getting into is Infinity, which is very, very different than the Horus Heresy or anything else I play. But I actually got some painting done. I've been working on my Pan Oceania, which is the regular human. I mean, I guess everybody in Infinity is a human, but they're the Ultramarines of Infinity. And I got these 2 little Black Ops characters done. Technically, these models are Hexas, which was the Black Ops before there was the Black Ops. And I think they were a little bit more specifically part of an older sectorial that's no longer in the game. But I got both of these miniatures because I liked them and I wanted to use them as like the sneaky snipers in my army. And these aren't meant to go together, but they both kind of have the same hex design in their clothing. And so I feel like I tried to use all of the same colors on them and the same kind of designs. So she's got the hexes in her ridiculous waistcoat, which is the most like extreme, foldy, wrinkly, impressive looking skirt I've ever seen on a miniature. And then similarly, this character has the same hexes going on her jackets. And so I feel like the same hexes going on kind of bring these two characters together. And then her trench coat, waistcoat thing is black on the outside, and this character's big ponytail is black. And so I tried to do as much as I could to bring these models closer together in theming so that they would look the part in my force. My Pan-O force, I'm going with the Kestrel Colonial Force. And so they're a little bit more like the special forces of the Pan Oceania. And so I think literally having some special force miniatures as kind of the leaders of my force is going to make for a really, really interesting little army. I got these models about like 80 or 90% done. There's a couple of little things on both of these characters that I would like to do. And then I got to do the bases, like finish the bases, but pretty happy with these guys. And this will bring me up to 6 painted Pan-O figures. So probably like 6 more, and then I've got a nice little force. Pan-O is what I plan to learn the game of Infinity on, but I'm probably gonna dip my toes into all of the other factions for Infinity. And also, I recently finished this little or not so little sucker. This is the Magriba for the Hak-Islam faction. This is a metal model, and it weighs about a pound. We just did a video showing off the crazy construction of this sucker. It's all metal, it's all still standing. Nothing is broken off yet. This thing is absolutely ridiculous. And I do like the Hak-Islam faction. Hak-Islam kind of has 2 looks. It has the super militaristic kind of desert force look. And then it also has like biker gangs. And I kind of dig the biker gangs. These miniatures are really the bike. I'm not a big motorcycle guy. I can fuss with some cars, but I'm not a big motorcycle guy. But these are some really cool motorcycles. They're not even like Akira motorcycles. They are a really nice blend of like chopper, but science fiction kind of punk anime chopper. They're really, really cool looking. I'm sure this is an incredibly, like you would never do a wheel this way, but I like that the wheels are open inside and they're somehow like, there must be another roller that is actually propelling them that's attached to the inside of the wheel. It's just a really, really interesting look. I like their giant, weird engines and exhausts. Like these are some really, really cool bikes. And so I don't know if this is possible yet, but I would like to do a Hak-Islam. I might just do 2 different kind of Hak-Islam forces because I do like the different lore of the Hak-Islam and I like the more militaristic orders. And then obviously just a biker gang would be really, really fun. I also really like different play styles in games. And so I would assume that like 7 bikes would have a very different play style to a bunch of soldiers in a Magriba. These bikes are really flipping my flams, and they might be the next thing I paint up. I mean, I should work on my Pan-O. I have a bunch of Fusiliers that are like almost ready to go. I just need to do the bases for them. My Pan-O, I've managed to get the painting time to like 1 hour a guy. A little bit more than that sometimes because I get carried away, but I've been trying to keep the painting consistent and relatively quick while trying to go pretty hard on every single miniature. Because I do feel like with the Infinity models, they look really, really good and they look good, painted up really good. And so I want to put in the extra efforts. Also, speaking of things that I'm going to paint next for Infinity, there are some new Infinity miniatures, and some of those miniatures I might end up getting. For my Infinity faction, the Pan Oceania, there are the drummers. These are some remotes, and they're very like if BB-8 had a gun. I mean, that's what they are, is if BB-8 had a gun, or several guns. I don't have any remotes yet. I don't think I have any remotes. I mean, I guess I have the crazy koalas, but I don't have like any of the really cool spider remotes. And these guys are pretty cool. And that little ball rolling through like my purple alien terrain. These guys would look pretty darn cool. There's also the Imperial Service expansion pack alpha for the Yujing. Yujing players for Infinity are probably having a pretty good time right now because they keep coming out with new models for the Yujing. I don't really have any interest in Yujing. All of their models are really, really cool. I feel like with Yujing, everything is just like really, really good. Like everything makes sense, it looks the part, it's really well done. I feel like I like the more weird oddball stuff, like a BB-8 with a machine gun taped to its head. Then there's the TAK expansion pack alpha for the Ariadna. Ariadna is like kind of modern day human soldiers with a little bit of robotech and werewolves for some reason. But you just get 3 little army dudes and one of them has a wrench. I don't know if the wrench, I'm sure that he's like not a medic. He's one of the fixers in the game, but I like to think that that wrench does have an attack profile. Then there's the Krekot Renegades for the Combined Army. The Combined Army is the aliens that are trying to take over the universe. And luckily Aleph, the AI that kind of runs the human society, is doing a decent job of fighting back against these aliens. Meanwhile, all the factions of Infinity are not handling this existential threat at all well. But this guy is very Hellboy. He's got a dead Yujing guy on his base, which is kind of funky. And then he's got this glowy knife. He's very Hellboy. He's kind of like Old Man Hellboy. There's Old Man Logan comics. Is there Old Man Hellboy comics? The Combined Army has some of the coolest figures in all of Infinity. Kind of the only reason I don't paint Combined Army right now is because the guy who got me into Infinity was like, Combined Army is a lot. It's really hard. Apparently Combined Army is very different than some of the other factions for Infinity. Maybe one day, but not for my first few Infinity forces. Infinity has been a really, really nice palette cleanser. I feel like I can get those models done in a reasonable amount of time, and it's really nice. Like, I'll paint a ton of 40K stuff, and usually it's like squadrons of stuff. Like last weekend, I painted like just a ton of Necrons. I got a bunch of Necron destroyers ready to go, which I actually ended up playing in a couple of games and getting absolutely curb stomped by the new World Eaters Codex. Holy cow, the new World Eaters Codex is it's got some juice in it. But you paint 6 Necron destroyers, all with the same color schemes and the decals and everything. It's nice. It's nice to spend a little bit of time just fussing on some little hexagonal jackets. But you know what else looks good in a hexagonal jacket? That's right, our website. EonsOfBattle.com is the place to find our merch like the Nick and Jay dice. We've got basing toppers, and it is the best way to support us doing what we do with a membership. Each month, members get a credit that they can use on our new monthly terrain packs or any previous pack we have ever made. This May, we're delving back into the Hungry Maw with the Infested Colony, a world recently ravaged by the chitinous teeth and claws of the Endless Swarm. A series of ruined buildings crumbling under the weight of hypercharged plant growth and impaled by alien limbs, and shipping containers that have been ripped to shreds or torn open from the inside out. These relics of an alien war are designed with competitive wargaming in mind and an eye for storytelling, matching perfectly with our previous alien hive colony. With this set, you can build a wargaming table dripping with alien atmosphere. Pretty fun week of wargaming. The new Horus Heresy box is pretty interesting. I don't think it's gonna get me into Horus Heresy. I play way too many games as it is. I'm working on some new games right now, and it's just been fun playing some 40K. Even though I cannot seem to win a game. Thanks for watching.